Hey bros, how y'all doing? Now this video is specifically for the ones that are starting out at World of Tanks, the ones we would consider noobs. But don't consider yourself a noob, alright? You're a starter. You're expected not to know what to do. Alright, first of all, you start up the game. It's going to ask you to log in. You log in. Simple stuff. If you don't have an account for some reason, you download it, go on worldoftanks.com and create an account. No problem. Alright, after you've logged in, you're going to see full of tanks. You're going to start off with like 7 tanks or so. It depends on how many nations there are, and by the time that you watch this video there may be more nations, so I'm just saying. Then you're going to have a bunch of tanks, so you're going to be able to select your tank. First of all, you're going to have a tank selected. It's not going to look like this at all. This is a big tank. But it's going to show you a tank. So let's say this tank, which it wouldn't be, but you're going to have this. You're going to have, first of all, you have your tank right here. You're going to be able to see, alright, that's a gun, that's whatever, alright, that's cool. You get tons of icons here, bunch of empty spaces here, icons here, other icons there, full numbers here, full numbers up there, full buttons here, buttons there, all over, guys there with faces. You don't know what's going on, buttons all down here. Important thing, as a beginner, is you just see what tank have I selected. On the bottom here, you select tanks. This tank, or this tank, or this tank. Select the tank you want. Then go up here and you're able to click battle. Very simple stuff. Here there are numbers. This is pretty much going to be your information that you want to know about every tank. You're going to have health. How much health does he have? You're going to have how much does he weigh, which is not totally important for now, but just know that that's where it's found. You're going to have the engine power, which is not totally important right now, but on certain tanks you're able to upgrade the engine. Now here I brought up a T50, which is a level 4, tier 4, we call them tiers in World of Tanks, tier 4 tank, and here the engine power is 300. The speed limit, which doesn't really affect anymore, but it tells you how fast the tank will maybe go on flat land, and the traverse speed, that's how many degrees a second. Now 360 degrees in a circle, how many degrees will it turn? So that'll, because the tank will go forwards, and then it will be able to turn, and that's going to be the speed it turns at. Then you have the amount of armor on your turret, on your hull, which is the body, and on the turret, which is the top. Some tanks do not have a turret, but don't worry about that right now. And the shell damage, average shell damage, that's how much damage you're going to do. So if you have 360 HP, average shell damage of 41 to 69, and yes, it varies. Some shells you're going to do more, sometimes you're going to do less. So you try to find the average, which about this would maybe be like 50, 55. Let's just say it's 55. Make it simple. So to kill this guy with 140 HP, you would have to hit him 3 times, and you would even have overkill. But that's average damage. And then you have average shell penetration. That right now is a little bit oblivious. You don't know what that means right now, but don't worry. Pretty much what it means is that on this tank, as you can see in the stats, I have amount of armor, and to be able to hurt me, you have to hit me with a shell that pens at least 37 armor or more. So if your gun pens more than 37, you should be able to hurt me. Then you have the rate of fire. That's how many times you shoot how many times you shoot a minute. So I shoot 28 times a minute. That means my rate of fire is about 2 point something seconds. So I shoot bang 1 2 bang 1 2. Alright, typical stuff. Turret speed, traverse, that's how fast your turret turns, because this is not a FPS game. You don't turn around and instantly your gun is aiming wherever your cursor is. That's not how it works. Alright, your turret takes time to aim at the spot you want it to aim. And that you'll be able to see in my next video about how to actually battle in World of Tanks. But that's just simple stuff right now. That's going to be how fast your turrets goes. The faster it goes, typically the better. Then you have your view range. Now, this is not perfectly realistic in that you can't see infinitely far away. This is not an FPS. Or as long as your screen is big enough, your graphics are set high enough, and you have a sniper rifle, you'll be able to see as far as you want. This is not true. You'll actually have a point where you won't be able to see an enemy, and if you come a little closer, all of a sudden the enemy will be there. I'll pop up and it doesn't make sense at first. Don't worry about it. That's your view range. It changes, and signal range, like here you can see it's 630. That's my radio. When I see an enemy, my allies might not be able to see him, so my radio is going to be able to tell them there's enemy right here. So because of that, they will be able to see the enemy. Even though the enemy is farther than they could be able to see it, they're still going to be able to see it. And that's because of the radio. That's the signal range is actually dealing with the radio. Now, we have three types of shells. We have the AP, and those change. Don't worry about the names AP, APCR, HE. Only HE do you really need to know right now. And typical AP. Typical AP does, and here, whoa, lots of details just came up. Don't freak out, lots of information, but it's okay. First thing it's going to show, this has an average shell penetration of 56 to 94. See, my cursor's right here. And the average damage is 41 to 69. It tells you a 45 caliber. And right now, my tank doesn't have infinite ammo, so it has a maximum of 150 shells I can load. See right here, 150 shells. So I can choose how much of each type I want. And right now I've put 107 shells of this, and I can put less of them. I'll put, let's say, 100. All right. Now I have 143 shells on 150 loaded, so that means I can change things around. Each time you put a new shell, increases your cost, because each shell is, for this tank, $35. As a stock, as a level 1 tank, a tier 1 tank that you're going to be playing with, you will not have any ammo cost, at least with the first gun. So don't worry about that anyways. You can play a level 1 tank a million times and it will not cost you a dime. Don't worry about that. Just get ready for that. Then there's the second shell listed is almost all the time a gold round. Gold rounds you got to be careful on because they cost a lot of money. I'm saying even from the highest level, tier 10, it still costs a lot of money to use gold shells. What happens is you have the option to use gold, which I never use, or just about, or you have the chance to make it with credits. And credits, you're able to, they cost a lot, but see, I'm able to put a few, and you can see I put 7 more shells, so it's 7 times 1,200, making 8,000, and that's a lot of money. At least for a level 1 player, that's a ton of money. And then you have the 45 millimeter HE. HE, what happens is that contrary to the other shells, which if you have enough penetration on your shells, it will go through the enemy's armor and hurt them, doing a limited amount of damage between this and this. So for the AP shells, it'd be between 50. The pen is between 56 and 94, but the average damage is 41 through 69. That's going to be the damage it's going to do. But with HE, the penetration is really low. So if the enemy has a lot of armor, you're not going to be able to hurt him, and HE is not going to mean much anyways. But this is the difference. All right, you might say, why would I want that? It does more damage, but it has less chance of even hurting him at all. Don't worry about that. What happens is, if an enemy has enough armor, if he has a lot of armor, and you know you can't hurt him with your regular shells, and knowing the armor of enemy tanks comes with time. But if, for instance, you're sitting there just with your gun barrel, and you shoot, you keep on hitting this guy, and it does no damage, what you can do is you can switch over to HE shells. You can use these shells, and you'll be able to hurt him even if he has more armor than you want. What happens is HE shells hit, and on impact they explode. So they really won't do much damage most of the time, but they'll damage things on the outside, and that will still cause damage sometimes. So as a lower player, you might want to consider that, especially when you come up all the time. This is going to be the typical tanks. You're going to see what you're like. I can never hurt that tank. What am I supposed to do? Use HE shells. It's going to hurt them sometimes. Alright, and then you have consumables. As a level 1 player, don't worry too much about consumables. Those typically come along. I started putting consumables at tier 3 or 4. Those are because they cost a lot of money. Each one of these costs 3,000. But what it means is that you're able to, when you select this, when you get damaged in the game, you're going to be able to repair, not health, but you're going to be able to repair, especially tracks. If your radio was hit, here's going to be if one of your four crew members, or how many crew members you have. If you have the T1 Cunningham, which you probably do, you have 2 crew members. You're going to be able to medic one if he got hit. You're going to be able to heal him, and he's going to be able to continue fighting, and you're going to be able to get better stuff. And manual fire extinguisher. Once in a while, it depends on your engine, but you will catch on fire if you get hit enough. Catching on fire only lasts for a limited amount of time. It's not like if you have full health, catch on fire, you're going to die because you're just going to burn to death. No. But it will eat a huge chunk out of you. It'll eat like 30% out of you. So if you have 1,000 health, it's going to take 300 health away from you. If you have 110 health, it's going to take away 35 health maybe, something like that. It's going to eat a lot of your health, and it's going to destroy a lot of assets, and it may kill your crew members. Everything making your tank slower, less accurate, less rapid, everything bad. So you just want to use one of these. As soon as you catch on fire, click the button that's according to it. So in this case, this would be button 6, and it will stop the fire. It'll take a little bit of damage from the fire, but it'll stop it before it goes anywhere farther. And you load these shells, and you click accept, and I'll say you supply consumables and everything else. Yeah, I'm like, sure, why not? Alright, now I'm just going to buy a tier 1 just to show you. This is the MS1. You guys have it automatically unless you sold it for some reason. I'm not going to put any money with it. And here I have the MS1 listed right here. Now the MS1 will start off with everything stock, and I'll be showing you how to play this in the next video. So if you still have any questions, just watch this series. I'm going to explain everything. If you have any questions, post a comment, alright? Like this, post a comment, especially if you have questions, you don't understand something, you think I didn't go over something clearly. I'm going to maybe even name you and say, alright, so-and-so said that I wasn't explaining this well enough, and I'm just going to explain it thoroughly. Either way, enjoy this, guys. World of Tanks is one of the greatest games out there. I love it, and I've been playing it for 3 years. I love it, so post a comment if you have questions.